What's up, guys? Mason the Rock Henderson here, and just want to apologize from the beginning. Obviously, this is a very different location, and you might notice the screen moving a little bit. That's because I'm at a different house tonight, and there's no really good place to film, so the best I had to do is just stick the laptop on my bed and film like that. So if it bounces, that's because I'm moving, it's just moving the bed, and just, yeah, the problems when you don't have a good camera setup. Anyway, 3-1 win on the road to finish off this long stretch of away games against Salt Lake. Good result, good performance, and on top of that, we got to show up Kyle Beckerman, which is always a blessing just to see Beckerman end up not doing well, which honestly it doesn't take that much. But anyway, so overall, I mean, the performance was really, really good. We pretty much stuck to exactly what we've been doing throughout a lot of this, well, pretty much all of this season. You know, the same formula, the same setup. You know, we've got similar players out there every match. We've got the same mentality of just going out and rolling ourselves forward, trying to get forward in the attack, and just doing a really good job of keeping high pressure, not really letting the other team have a lot of joy on the ball. Now, there are times where it does get a little bit lazy, and those times are pretty much the only times that Salt Lake actually created anything. Where the moments, I don't know, it's just, I don't want to call it laziness because it's not really that they're lazy, but there are moments where we do kind of shut off for a second. You know, like somebody, it's just one person will shut off and neglect to do their job. And then all of a sudden that leads to a good chance, all because that one person didn't do what they were supposed to. So it does kind of show you how much of a team game it is that if one person in the team is not doing what they're supposed to do, everything kind of falls apart. And the goal pretty much came from, you know, Parkhurst ends up flying forward, doesn't track back well enough, and so now he's out of position. Laurentowicz steps back in, but things are all out of position. People aren't really stepping to. They're sort of standing off a little bit, which is giving them a ton of space. And the guy has a shot from outside the box and goal. So yeah, all in all, it was a good game. It was a good performance. But those moments we need to start cutting out of our game because that leads to a 2-1 loss to Red Bulls. It leads to a 2-2 draw against Toronto. You know, those moments lead to goals that we really shouldn't be giving up. So that would be the only thing I'd say we need to work on a bit more. Individually, I think going from, obviously starting from the keeper, Can once again showed kind of like what I was saying past couple weeks. He doesn't really move his feet, and that goal showed it. I mean, honestly, coming back across, it should just be you step, you reach, and you're there. But instead, he doesn't move his feet, so he's falling down, and the ball is just trickling into the back corner pretty much. So, I hate to say it, but we need Guzan. I think Guzan is just much more experienced. He knows much more about how to get across the goal. You know, he's played in Premier League, so he's faced really, really tough shots. He's faced a lot of shots. So, yeah, I think just looking at the past couple weeks, looking at some of the goals that he's let in, I do think it's time for Guzan to come back and kind of take that spot, which he's getting close because Middlesbrough is almost done with their season. So, keeper, average. You know, he was there. He was providing himself as kind of an option in the back, and honestly, he didn't do too bad. But that moment does keep us from having a clean sheet. Defense-wise, Mears on the right. I don't. They said he was out with an injury last week, so I don't know how much of that was affecting him today. But there were a lot of times where it felt like he wasn't as confident going into the challenge. Like, one of the things I've loved about Mears is just he flies in, he takes the ball or the man or both. You know, and he's always been strong. He's been aggressive and fast. It's been a joy to watch him. But today it was like, I don't know, he wasn't as willing to go in. You know, there are times where he kind of backed off from the guy, or if the ball was bouncing in the air, it was like, oh, I'm going to let the guy have it and I'm going to step in after, instead of just going and receiving it himself. So, yeah, I don't know if the injury had much to do with that, but it did look like he was a little bit off the pace today. But he still did pretty well. Parkhurst and Perez in the middle. Thank goodness we got the red card against Perez overturned. It really, really helped us today because, I mean, like I said in the last game, Perez is solid. He is such a solid center back. He knows what he's doing. He steps in when he needs to, and he's just there. He's always putting himself in the right position to win the ball back. Parkhurst is kind of that leader figure in the back that sort of organizes everything, makes sure everything in the midfield and everything around him is picked up. He's not leaving anybody open. And at times he steps in, makes a really good challenge. So I don't know. He's kind of that leader figure that I want us to have in defense. That one that's sort of there, steps in and shows his leadership abilities. Um, and then Garza on the left wasn't as involved as he has been in the past few games. I mean, past 3 games that we've been on the road, he's been phenomenal. I mean, he's probably been one of our best players. Today, he was still solid, but he wasn't as involved as he has been. Like, he's been doing well defensively, obviously, but one of the things that makes him a great player is his ability to get up and down. He just back and forth. He's up in the attack and he's back helping defend. Today, he wasn't as involved getting forward. He did at times, but it wasn't as effective. What he's been doing the past couple games has just been moving the ball quickly. He's been delivering in great crosses. I can only think of a few times that he did that today. So I don't know how much of that was just, maybe he was told to be a bit more defensive today. I don't know. But for some reason, he wasn't really as effective going forward. Maybe it was just that side was well covered. Maybe they saw they needed to cover him more. But yeah, that's pretty much all I noticed there. Defensively, though, he did fine. He worked hard, just like he always does. So that's good to see. Carmona and Laurentowicz in the middle. Laurentowicz still kind of the same for me. There are times that he does really, really well. He played a couple great through balls today, which I actually haven't seen from him before. So to see that he can do that as well, very nice to see. But there's still too many times where I'm just watching him jog back as there's a man sprinting into the box that he's not picking up. And that's part of his job. He and Carmona are supposed to be that defensive midfield pairing where they're stepping in, they're covering the men at the top of the box. He's not doing that. Carmona's doing that at times, but sometimes Carmona has to step over to help out, and Laurentowicz should be covering the man at the top of the box, but he's not. He's just jogging back in. So, I don't know. There are too many times where he does that, and for somebody who's supposed to be an experienced defensive midfielder, you'd think he'd know not to do that. So that would be my complaint there, but aside from that, he did pretty well today. Probably one of our more solid center mids today. Carmona, I don't know. He's kind of faded out since the first couple games that I saw him in. He looked like a solid defensive midfielder that was just he's there and he's putting himself in and he's just winning challenges. He's working hard to shut people down. But past few games, he's kind of faded in and out of the game. There are times where he goes flying into a challenge when he doesn't have to. There are times whenever he needs to just hold possession and lay it off to somebody, but instead he's trying to dribble and sometimes loses it. I don't know. He's not as effective as he was at the beginning of the season. So I don't know if maybe he's doing something different now than he was doing. But whatever he was doing at the beginning of the season, I'd love for him to go back to that because he looks solid. He looks like one of our best midfielders. So a little disappointed there. Assad and Villalba on the left and right again. Assad, good to see him back in. Works hard. Got himself the second goal. And just he's a hard worker up top. He's putting pressure on the defense. He's working hard whenever he's on the ball. The only problem I have with him, sometimes he holds the ball too long. I think there's sometimes where he should, beats the first man, great, lay it off now. But instead, it's like once he beats that first man, he's thinking, I got to beat the next man too. And now he's dribbling into pressure. Now he's lost his other option that he had. And then there are a couple times where we need him to hold possession later on in the game. And this is something I could say about pretty much everybody up top for us. Whenever we're up 1 goal near the end of the game, there's way too many times where those front 3 or 4 want to do too much. And so they lose the ball, and now all of a sudden the other team's coming right back at us. That's where your Joneses, your Almirons, your Assads, your Villalbas, they need to sort of hold the ball up a bit more because you hold the ball up there, you earn possession up there, or maybe you flick it on past their defense. That gives us time to organize. It gives our defense time to rest. But if you're just going to try to dribble somebody and kick it off of them, or if you're going to let them win the ball from you, now it's right back at our defense, and they have no time to rest. So that's something I would say for all of them, though, not just Assad. But before that time, just throughout most of the game, I do think he tries to do a little too much on it. Even for the goal, It felt like he could have just received the pass and kind of found a pass in, but instead he has to fake the shot, and then the guy slides in. I'm just like, dude, shoot before somebody else comes in and strips you, and finally he finds the goal. But he does like to do a little too much at times. Villalba, I've talked about this before. I think he's more naturally a forward, and you could really see that today. There are a lot of times that he doesn't look like he wants to defend, but as a right wing, he has to. So I don't, I don't know if that's his natural position. I don't know if that's something we can rely on him to get back and help out, because he doesn't look like he wants to get back. He wants to drive forward and attack and attack and attack. When he's driving forward, he looks great, but when he has to get back, you can tell he's not naturally a wing. And Almiron in the middle, still our best player in my opinion. Just watching what he does on the ball, watching how easily he just moves and he finds space and he finds passes. At times, like Assad, he can do a little too much. But what I love about him is how hard he works whenever he loses it. There are a couple times where he does drop his head, but for the majority of the time, if he loses it, he's tracking back. He's trying to help get back. So, he just lost the ball. He wants to get it back and work on getting forward again. So I love players that do that. I love players that whenever they lose it, they don't just shut off. They actually work to go get the ball back because they realize it's my fault. So I don't know, just all around, he's a very, very solid player. And I think, especially considering how young he is, I think he has the ability to grow to be one of the best players in, if not the MLS, probably one of the better players all around. Obviously, a lot of people would disagree with that, but I mean, he has the ability. It looks like he has the potential to. He's already at such a young age. He already has such a commanding presence in the middle that you grow a little bit more. You maybe get a bit stronger. You get a bit smarter as well. Know where to move and pass the ball. I mean, I feel like he could easily become a really, really great player. So really glad we have him on our team. And then Kenwyne Jones up top again. He wasn't really as effective today because I think most of our play was kind of that counter-attacking style, and that's not really him. He's better whenever we have a lot of possession and we need a big body to cross it into. However, that being said, we did have a couple crosses come in that he's not on the end of. He's making his run too early, or he's not able to beat the defender to it. So I do think, whenever we are playing a bit more counterattacking, he's not going to see much of it. There will be times where he does flick on the ball, and he does that well. But if we're going to play mostly counterattacking and he's not going to be as involved because those wings and Almiron are getting up and they're the ones with the speed that are going to, the quickness to get past the defenders, if they're going to get past them and now they've got to hit a cross in, you should be there. You should be making the right run to be there on the end of the cross, but he didn't today. There are too many times where the cross comes in, he's either overrun it or he made a bad run, and so now the cross has to go to somebody else because they can't get it to him. But yeah, that would be my only frustration there, is I think he does need to work on making better runs for the crosses, not just overrunning it, making a run too early, stuff like that. So that's it for the starting lineup. Subs maybe came a little too late. I think Villalba and Assad especially were looking a little bit tired around the 70-minute mark, and Villalba came out at 75. Assad didn't come out, I don't think, until like 88 or something like that. So I do think that the subs need to come a little bit sooner, especially if we only have a goal lead. We really need to look at getting a sub in quicker so we have fresh legs to help out. Now, that being said, maybe who's on the bench isn't as good. Probably not. But if you need somebody that's going to help track back, if you need somebody who's going to be fresh to just run around, we have those type of players. So, who's the first one? Gressel came on first for Villalba. Not really getting any better. If anything, he's kind of getting worse. I've talked about how his passing was awful in the past couple games, and his work ethic is there, but it's not good work ethic. It's not the work ethic that helps us. It's more the work ethic that puts himself into dangerous situations. And he's not really getting any better. His passes, he came on for, 15 plus extra time? In that time, I noticed at least 3 giveaways. I noticed 2 times where he should be shutting down the man who's on the ball, but instead he's getting beat. He did get the assist for the 3rd goal, but that's one good thing he did in that short amount of time compared to the 5 or 6 bad things he did. So it's just there's too many mistakes from him. And I know he's a young player, so obviously he's got the chance to grow. However, if he's gonna be that player that you go to bring in or to start because you want him to be out there, you want him to either be the distributor or the big body to kind of shut things down, he's not doing either of those things. He's kind of hurting us whenever he gets out there. So he really needs to start improving instead of getting worse because that's kind of scary to see. You don't want to see a player making more mistakes or making the same mistakes and not fixing it. So that was a little disappointing. Kratz came in for Assad. Didn't really see much from him. I guess he was just a player he wanted to throw in up there. I don't really know who he is. I haven't seen enough of him to know what type of player he is either. But he came on, didn't have a whole lot of time to do anything, didn't really do much. So, and of course the last one to come on was Vasquez. I want to say he's the only teenager we've thrown out there this season. And from what I saw, it looks okay. Good movement on the last goal to make the goal. Good run, beats the keeper, just one touch around him, passes it in. So that was nice to see. So I didn't see enough. Obviously he didn't have a whole lot of time. He came in for I think like the final 5 minutes of stoppage time. But from what I saw, he definitely has the potential to get better. So I hope he can grow. He's already big at his age. So I'm hoping that he can grow as a player. Obviously his strength is already there. So it's exciting to see that we've got a young player who already looks like he could possibly grow and become even better from there. But I mean, all in all, good all-around performance. Like I said, very good, just atmosphere for the team. I think just watching them, how happy a lot of them are, how just fun it looks like they're having to play. And that's something that you always want to have for a team. Is just you want them to enjoy what they're doing. You want them to get out there and just have fun. And honestly, that's where a lot of wins come from. It's just a team who goes out there and works hard together, has fun together. They put together good results because they're in sync. They know what each other are doing. That being said, there are some mistakes that do need fixing, but I think they're easy fixes. I think there's something that, especially a talented manager like Martino, he's going to look at it and see what the problems are, see where we do need to fix. So I don't think these problems are going to be there for long, but it's good to see that we're in such fine form. Now, obviously, we've had some hard luck over these past 3 away games, so coming in, it's nice to see the rest didn't screw us over today. They weren't great. Beckerman probably could have been sent off, but they were solid. They didn't call anything crazy today. Maybe a little bit jumpy with the yellow cards near the end. Oh, you've been holding the ball for 5 seconds. You're yellow. Okay. But all in all, no major mistakes today, so that's good to see. And hopefully then the MLS, whoever's in charge, can start looking at refs and say, okay, we need to improve the quality of them. Because, what we've got over the past couple of games was completely ridiculous. So, that's about it for this game. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Who's your man of the match? What were your thoughts on the game? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Atlanta United reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.